This is Jonathan Aguilar here for Pro Boxing Fans. It's fight week. Joseph Parker, Derek Chisora on Saturday night. Sky Sports Box Office and DAZN. And who better to be joined by than Joseph Parker's manager, David Higgins, all the way in New Zealand. David, how you feeling?
Hey, Jonathan. Hey, thank you for having me on tonight. Yeah, we're feeling good. We're excited. We're delighted to be back in business and to have this opportunity. So, I think you've got to be grateful under the present circumstances to have an opportunity, and the plan is to make the most of it.
You must be a bit disappointed not to be in the bubble. It's going to be a strange press conference today without you.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to be there, of course, and it's the first of Joseph's fights I haven't been physically at. My partner's having a baby in late June sort of thing, and so it was just tricky with the MIQ and the travel and the bubble aspect of it. And so this time I'll be watching from New Zealand, glued to my television set.
Mm. Yeah, so going back to sort of the Junior Farr fight, this fight sort of came around pretty quickly afterwards. This is a fight that was meant to happen in October 2019. Talk to us about how this came about so quickly after the Farr win.
Well, I think there's unfinished business. The talk between Parker and Chisora about fighting goes back years, and the fight was nearly on, then it was off again a couple of years ago, and eventually it got made. And then Joseph became sick a few weeks out in his training camp in Vegas and went to the doctor, who suggested he had appeared to have been bitten by a spider, and was very ill actually. And the doctor said that he needs to go home and recuperate. And so that, a lot of people laughed at that spider bite, reason, but it was legitimate. You don't leave your family in New Zealand and go all the way to Vegas to prepare for 6 weeks and then pull out claiming a spider bite. So, and it meant the fight was off again. And then we tried to put the fight together again, but then Chisora didn't want it. And so he went and fought Dillian Whyte, and then took a loss, and now Parker coming off Farr. And so I think Eddie and a lot of people just want to see it. It was talked about, they talk about 50-50 fights, and Chisora's got that come forward style. He's solid and looks for the knockout, and Joseph's got fast hands and probably more pedigree. And so many would see it as a 50-50 fight, and people were excited about it when it was first put together. And so I think it just made sense, because Eddie's worked well with us and can make a deal quickly. He's worked well with David Hay, I'm sure, too. And the terms and the contracts were already kind of sitting there from last time. So I guess it was one of those magic matchups that was easy to put together quickly. And that's what happened. It was first mentioned to us before the Farr fight, and then afterwards, Eddie and I quickly communicated about it, and everyone got their heads together and made the deal happen. And, that's a credit to everyone involved. Often deals fall over because people are too greedy or take things for granted, or whatever. And in this case, the deal was made quick, which is great for boxing. And I want to pay credit to Matchroom too. Some people criticize them, but they're the lifeblood of the sport at the moment. And if it wasn't for them putting these shows on, everyone would be sitting on their hands doing other things.
In terms of in New Zealand, how well has this fight been received?
Yeah, people know it's a credible fight, and there's some people doubt if Joseph has another world title shot in him. Joseph certainly believes he does. We do. And I guess people are seeing it as a test. He's come off 3 straight wins. Four now. Alexander Flores and Alex Leopai, then Winters, and then Junior Farr. 4 wins in a row, 3 of them by stoppage. But I guess people are seeing Chisora as a step up in the caliber of opponent. from the previous four. And they're saying, okay, let's see how Parker goes against Chisora. If he can take him out emphatically, then yeah, he's got another world title shot in him. But if he can't, then he should probably question his future in the sport of boxing.
So there's a lot on the line for you guys, and especially Joseph. Is that fair to say? There's a high
Oh
stakes.
yeah, well, in boxing there always is. There's always a lot on the line. You know, one person advances and the other has to retire or rebuild. But in a 50-50 fight, there's even more on the line. Like both guys are taking a big risk here, which makes it exciting and interesting. But Joseph knows exactly what is at stake, and I'm sure Derek Chisora does as well.
After the Junior Far fight, obviously well publicised that Joseph and Kevin Barry's longtime trainer parted ways on good terms. How Joseph said to me that it was, the most difficult decision of his career, sort of collectively, and for you as well. We've worked with both of them for a while. How difficult was it for you?
Yeah, it's bittersweet when changes like that come along, and there's a lot of history there. The team being Joseph Parker, Kevin Barry, myself as promoter then manager, the team had achieved a lot over a 7-year period, including winning the heavyweight WBO heavyweight world title and defending it 2 or 3 times. So, and that had never been done in the history of New Zealand sport or Samoan sport before. And so, you always have your critics, but the proof is in the pudding. And the record shows that Joseph was one of the youngest to ever become a world champion and defend it. And so, it's a wonderful thing. But also, change can be good too. And I think Joseph felt that it was time to freshen up a bit and maybe learn some new things or try a different environment. You can become a bit stale. So I think Kevin was good. Kevin understood that as well, and he's got family and is based in Las Vegas, and so it just seemed timely to make the change. And now we're all going to find out what happens on Saturday night.
What conversations have you had with Joseph over the sort of past 2 months about how he's doing in camp with Andy Lee, etc.?
He's very happy, relaxed, happy. They've gelled really quickly. They appear to be getting along famously inside and outside the ring, inside and outside of training. So I think they become friends very quickly. They trust each other. And so he's in great shape mentally, physically, spiritually. And he said he's learned some new things which are going to help him out. And so a happy, relaxed fighter is a good fighter. And so we're going to find out.
There's no secret on Derek Chisora's style. We've seen it countless times and how he likes to box and entertain. How do you see this fight actually playing out with Joseph?
It's hard to say. I mean, Chisora might come storming out of the gates looking to rough Joseph up. I think Dillian Whyte showed the blueprint of rough housing and mauling and brawling, headbutting, elbowing, low blows. I think you might see that kind of approach from Chisora. I think that the Parker side will be ready for anything. I actually don't know how the Parker side are going to approach it. I'm sure Andy Lee and Joseph have talked about it. What I do know is they talked about going with the flow, which, I quite like, being present in each second of the fight. So rather than trying to pre-plan or anticipate too much and sort of searching, I saw Joseph saying he'd been searching for the knockout in the last fight, and kind of you load up too much, become a bit robotic, drain yourself. So I know they just seem in a good space. So I actually can't predict how this is going to go. I would like to think that there'll be a Joseph Parker stoppage in the early to middle rounds. It would be nice to have a stoppage up in the big European market on worldwide TV.
Is it important for Joseph to make a statement in this fight going forward, wanting to have another world title opportunity? Do you think Joseph needs to look good on Saturday night, or is it win by any means?
Well, no, ideally win, look good. You know, um, it's sport, but it's also entertainment. A win's a win, but ideally you want to win emphatically in an entertaining fashion and look good. So that's the goal always.
Hmm. You made some comments, I believe, earlier this week, saying that you feel that if Joseph wins this fight, Derek might retire, and you'll happily give David Hay a job. Derek then responded to those comments earlier this week in a media call. I don't know if you've seen them, but he said along the lines to lay off the booze and that Parker hasn't retired anyone. What do you want to say to that?
Say that again. Lay off the booze
And he said that Joseph Parker hasn't retired anyone.
Yeah. To be honest, I have been laying off the booze a bit. I've cut right back from when we last crossed paths. But there's a first time for everything, and maybe Derek's going to be the first person Joseph puts into retirement.
Okay. In terms of the future, if Joseph comes through this, how are you looking to sort of navigate the rest of the year? He's got a really good ranking with the WBO, I think 3, and top 6 with IBF WBC. So, have you discussed with him and sort of the team how you want this year to play out?
I think we're all focused on this fight, and the stakes are so high in this, that we're not really looking too far beyond. I mean, Joseph is ranked, I think, number 3 at the moment with the WBO, and so he's well placed. And a win against Chisora would put him right in the mix. And we don't know what's going to happen. Will Joshua vacate the belt, etc. But the key in this sport is just to win and be right up there, and then the opportunity might come. I mean, look at the opportunity Ruiz got against Joshua and New York there. I was actually quite surprised they opted for Ruiz, because we'd seen him firsthand down in New Zealand, and he was tough, and so we kind of thought there might be an upset, and there was. But provided you're swimming around at that top level and active, and the fans know who you are, then opportunities can come out of nowhere. And so, and Joseph Parker has shown that he's never turned down an opportunity, always stepped up to risky fights. For example, after Joshua went straight back in against Dillian Whyte on a 7-week lead-in. And so he's fit and ready, and will take whatever opportunities come his way.
One more thing I wanted to ask. Obviously, Joseph, back in, I believe, 2018, 2019, signed a 3-fight deal with Matchroom, which has obviously come to an end now. Have you had conversations with Eddie or any other promoters, and are you close to maybe signing a new promotional deal after this fight?
Well, there's quite a few promoters, or a few have expressed interest in working with us. So obviously that's in the background. Matchroom have been great to work with. Actually, we've done some mega deals with Matchroom. The Joshua fight, globally, and the teams have worked really well together. So they're a trusted promoter. So obviously we'll talk to Matchroom. I think no one's really gone too deep into it because of the fight this Saturday. But after this fight, obviously those conversations will play out quite quickly.
And David, just tell us a bit about Duco events. What other stuff have you got going on and coming up?
We've got a music event called Symphony that we're taking to different countries around the world. It had a great run in New Zealand. It's now rolling out in Australia, and we'll also be launching it in Asia as well. We've got it's sort of a charitable cricket game with current and former All Black rugby players against New Zealand current and former New Zealand cricket players. And it's one of the highest rating sports events on New Zealand TV. It's called Black Clash. Mm-hmm. A play on All Blacks and Black Caps, and that's an annual event. We've done business conferences, speaking events, you name it. It's really wherever there's an opportunity. And at the moment, Joseph Parker is the only boxer we're working with at the moment.
Okay, brilliant. Well, you sound like you've got a lot of stuff going on. So, David, appreciate your time. We look forward to Saturday night. Joseph Parker going against Derek Chisora. Any last message to the fans, anyone watching, and this big fight on Saturday night?
Enjoy the event. We certainly will too.
Great stuff. Cheers, David.
Thank you.
All the best.